Proposals are critical to your success on Upwork. A proposal is many times the very first impression a potential client will have of you, and a bad proposal will eliminate you from consideration. You really can't spend too much time on designing your proposals, and that is the subject of this next lesson. So I found a job that popped up in my feed, and this job is not necessarily a great fit for me, but for the purposes of showing you how to submit a proposal, this will work. And it actually has some red flags that I would like to point out. So it is a good one to use as an example. So the title of this job is Podcast Manager. Now the first red flag that I see is that it was posted 12 days ago. If you want to be successful on Upwork, especially at the beginning, it is important to submit proposals as early and as often as possible. And I really can't stress that enough. I've found that the faster I apply to a job, the higher the chance is that I'm actually going to be awarded that job. In fact, it's got to the point now that if I don't see a job within the first couple days of it being posted, I don't even apply. Now, the reason I don't want to apply is because I can only apply for so many jobs each month. Upwork works on a system called Connects, and you can see that I have 50 available Connects here, and it will cost me 2 of them to apply for the job. So that basically means that I have only 25 proposals that I can send out in this month. When next month starts, or at least towards the beginning of next month, those connects will reset and I will automatically have 60. Now at the time of this production, you can pay $10 a month and I believe you get 10 more connects per month, and then you can have the opportunity to actually buy more connects. I am not a huge fan of paying extra money just to apply for jobs. So I am on the free version. I get 60 connects per month, and that allows me to send 30 proposals per month. Now, 30 proposals is quite a few, but there have been times when I run out. And especially when you're getting started, you want to be sending out these proposals as early and as often as possible. So if you're doing it right, chances are you will run out of connects at some point. Okay, that's it for connects. Now let's dive into this job posting a little bit further. About the client, the payment method has not been verified. Yet another red flag. He or she has posted 3 jobs and they haven't hired anybody. Another red flag. And they're also a very new member, December 30th, 2015. So ordinarily, I probably would not even apply to this job. There's just too many red flags. It's been posted 12 days ago. The client is looking for an entry-level position. Their payment method is not verified, and they've never hired anybody, and they're new to Upwork. That's a lot of red flags, but for the sake of showing you how it's done, I'm going to apply for it anyway. Before we dive into the details of this job, the next thing I want to look at is how many people have applied for it so far. And you can see that 21 proposals have been submitted for this job. So let's take a look and see who has applied for it. So you get a list of names here, and the latest proposal came in just 3 hours ago. Now, if the name is in green, that means that link is clickable. And if I scroll over, this gentleman's information will come up. He is from Brazil, and he charges $50 an hour. And I talked about this in an earlier lesson, but this is just a great way to check out your competition. Anyways, let's get back to the topic at hand. So let's look at the details of this job. They are looking for a candidate that is capable of editing raw audio files, turning audio files into iTunes podcast, and managing the process of publishing the podcast and linking it to our website. Now, the one good thing that I see is they are looking to pay $50 per published podcast. So at my current rate of between $25 to $27 an hour, I think that I can make good money on that. I don't think it's going to take me more than 2 hours per podcast, so I can easily make my hourly rate. So let's scroll up and we will click on Submit a Proposal. So we'll scroll down. And since this is a fixed rate job and not an hourly one, Upwork is going to ask me what I would like to bid. And then the next box will tell me how much I will earn after Upwork takes their share. So I'm going to write $50 for this one. And after Upwork takes their share, I'll get $45. The next thing Upwork wants to know is the estimated duration of this job. So let's go take a look at the job posting. And if we click on it, it'll automatically open up in a separate tab on our browser. So if we look at the details, it says we are looking for someone to help us continue to publish a podcast on a monthly or at least quarterly basis. Now, they've only funded one podcast because I'm only bidding on one podcast. So I could say less than 1 week, or I could say more than 6 months, since I'm planning on working with them on an ongoing basis. I don't know if there's a right answer here, or even if it matters, but I'll select more than 6 months. Now comes the critical part, the cover letter. Now, not every job posting asks for a cover letter. Some have specific questions they want you to answer, and they don't even ask for a cover letter. However, most jobs do ask for a cover letter. So now the question is, what is the formula for a great cover letter? Well, as you might have guessed, Upwork has some advice on this, and I've included a link to their advice in the references section of this lesson. But I'm going to talk about what's worked well for me. So I'm going to start with an intro sentence that includes my name, the work that I'm applying for, and my general willingness/excitement about doing the work. If you're ever a client on Upwork, you'll find that many freelancers copy and paste their proposals and don't even modify the first line to show they've actually read the job. Don't be one of these people. You will not get many jobs. Identifying the job shows that you at least took the time to scan the job description. So I'm simply going to write, "Hi, my name is Tim Hollowell, and I'd love the opportunity to edit and produce your podcast on a monthly or quarterly basis." Because if we look back at the details, that is the very first thing that they said. They're looking for someone to help continue to publish a podcast on a monthly or at least quarterly basis. Next, I'm going to write a couple of sentences outlining my relevant experience and the skills that I have that will make me a great fit for this job. I'm also going to mention that I've done this and am doing this successfully for many other clients. So I'm going to write, I have over 2 years of experience with all parts of podcast workflow, including audio production/mixing, file hosting, iTunes and Stitcher setup, social media marketing, and everything else that comes along with successfully running a podcast. I have over 3 years of experience with all parts of audio post-production. I use Adobe Audition 2015 CC for my work, and I have completed many training courses on the platform and have completed over 1,000 hours of work in addition. I currently produce over a dozen podcasts for clients across the globe. So there's that part where we're talking about what I do for other clients so that they know that I can do it for them as well. Next, I'm going to talk a little bit more about myself to show that I'm an educated guy that knows how to communicate, and just talk myself up a little bit more. And I'll also include a couple promises to the client. So I'm going to write, I am college educated with a bachelor's degree in business from Washington State University, and English is my first language. I am also lucky enough to have a very flexible schedule, so I can get projects turned around very quickly without sacrificing quality. I pride myself on doing what I say when I say I'll do it, and I am never late on a project. Never. Next, if it's possible, I like to reference something that they wrote in the job posting. You mentioned that blah, 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 and then talk about why I feel that need or that wish. So let's go back and take a look at the job details. And they wrote that the ideal candidate is capable of editing raw audio files, turning audio files into iTunes podcasts, and managing the process of publishing the podcast and linking to it on our website. So I'll go back to my proposal. So I'll write, you mentioned that the ideal candidate is capable of editing raw audio files, turning audio files into a iTunes podcast, and managing the process of publishing the podcast and linking to it on your website. Your website. I currently do this entire workflow for a few of my clients, so I have no doubt that I could do this for you. And this is again to reinforce the idea that I do this for many other people, and I am more than capable for the client. Next, I want to include a call to action and talk about how excited I am to start the project. Now, I like to use something called the assumptive close. This might not be right for everybody, but it's what I prefer. Also, if the project is a big one, or if it's going on for a while, the potential client will want to interview me on Skype, and I like to give them some availability to do that. So let's go back to my proposal. Since this is Tuesday, I'm going to write, I look forward to working with you. And if you have any questions for me, please feel free to message me directly. I am also available for a Skype interview tomorrow between 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, or on Thursday afternoon. If neither of those would work for you, just let me know what will. So I've included that assumptive close, and I've also given them some times that they can interview me via Skype, and I've also asked them to send me a message directly if they have any questions at all. So that's it. Then I'll just sign off and I'll say, thanks, and leave my name. Now, some jobs might ask you to include a specific word in the first line of your proposal. They do this because they want to weed out freelancers who just copy and paste their proposals. Now, you'll find that you can copy and paste much of one proposal to the next. I have about 5 different proposal templates that I use, but I always make sure to go through and add content that is relevant to that specific job. Other job postings may include questions like, what software will you use to complete this project? To a question like this, you'll want to not only name the software, but then give your client a quick overview of the experience that you have with it. When you're writing a proposal, try to put yourself in a potential client's shoes. What would you want to know if you were the one posting the job? What kind of person would you be looking for to fill that job? Now, your first attempt at writing a proposal will most likely not be your best one. I like to write 2 different proposals for the same type of job and then split test them, meaning I'll send 4 proposals of one type to 4 potential clients and 4 of the other to 4 more potential clients. You can also hire somebody on Upwork to proofread your proposals and make recommendations. In fact, I would highly recommend you do that because you'll get the experience of hiring somebody on Upwork, and that could be very helpful. Of course, you'll need to set up a client account to do that, but it's not a difficult process. So lastly, you can attach one file to your proposal. If at all possible, include an example of relevant work. Of course, if the work was for another client, you will need their permission. So in this case, it might be a good idea to attach another client's podcast. I'm not going to do that this time, but especially when you're first starting out, it's just further proof that you can do what you say you can. So before I hit submit, I just want to take a quick look to make sure that everything is in order before I submit the proposal. And everything looks good, so I will hit submit. I get a pop-up that's warning me that I'm submitting a proposal for a fixed rate project, and 3 things that I need to know about that. So after you read that, click Yes, I understand, continue to submit, and there we go. Now, another great way of finding jobs besides your job feed is this window that pops up after you apply to a job. It will say, consider applying to these jobs, and have a list of jobs that are similar to the one you just applied for. I cannot tell you how many times I have found jobs through this window that I completely missed on my job feed. So that's all I have for you on proposals. And the point is, you can have a fantastic profile, but if you don't send quality proposals, your client will never even click on your profile, meaning you'll never have the opportunity to land a job. But since you are going to spend some time coming up with a killer proposal template, and you are going to modify it for each client, you will generate interest, and you will get many requests for interviews. And interviews is the topic of the very next lesson.